today was tough, you know. I woke up this morning, I had a good night's rest. I felt pretty optimistic coming out today. I was looking forward to it. And the morning was a struggle. Pulled this back just a little bit, and you know what I did? I broke it and ruined the image. Nothing really happened this morning that was bad. It was just the conditions weren't quite right, and I was struggling to make the image work despite some elements missing. It's going to be fun editing this together, I'll tell you that. Can't win them all, I suppose, right? That's a horrible message to leave it with, isn't it?
It's autumn in Hokkaido, and naturally, this spectacular show of color is a photographer's dream. Yet I struggled the first half of the day. The light wasn't right, there was no assistance from rain, mist, or fog, and I have to admit, I find woodland photography particularly challenging. I found this maple tree about 30 meters or 30 yards from the trail. It was a splash of color that begged to be photographed. But it had some challenges. I needed to find a vantage point that would give me as much dark background as I could get. That way I could rely on the contrast to give the tree some separation from the background. I used a polarizing filter to cut down the glare and bring out the saturation of the red leaves more. I also wanted to be careful about overlapping colors from the other trees in the background.
So I don't know about you all, but I find woodland photography particularly challenging. I think when I'm by the seaside or when I am shooting, I don't know, a more defined subject, a clearer subject, obviously it's much easier to find an artistic angle to tell the story of that subject matter, no matter what it is. Now, woodland photography is all about bringing order to chaos. It's taking a subject or your composition out of context, really, from the chaos that's surrounding it, and you're bringing order to your image, right? So this composition that I've been working on here, I've been here about an hour, and I hope to get better at this. There's another YouTube photographer, Mark Davies. He shoots down in Honshu Shikoku? Honshu, I think. And he's a great woodland photographer, and I'll link his stuff here for you in the description, and go check him out. But he's very good at finding order in the chaos, and so here I am trying to find order in the chaos using the elements of composition. I'm really trying to be aware of what's in the edges of my frame and how can I separate this foreground from the background. So I'm trying to find as much contrast as I can in the background, so darker areas. Now, luckily some clouds have rolled in, and that's darkened the background, but it's also darkened the tree.
In the end, I had to abandon the shot. I just couldn't get it right. The light was wrong, and I wasn't happy with the overall aesthetic, so I moved on to photograph mushrooms that I found nestled into a crack in this crumbling tree.
If you spend long enough in one location, and I have for that red leaf tree as a maple tree, you'll find other things to shoot. Well, this amazing fallen tree is just kind of looped over on itself, and growing into the cracks here are some mushrooms that just look spectacular. They're just growing all along this edge right here, and the texture is amazing. So I'm going to set up my tripod and try and make sure that I really get pinpoint focus on that. Set up my camera to take a shot of these mushrooms, and I I touched it and I broke it. I peeled back just a little bit of the bark just to see. There was one mushroom that I wanted to just lay over that bark. But as soon as I touched the bark, I broke it and I ruined the shot. Yeah, that's a lesson for myself. Don't touch it, just leave it be. My image of what was a perfect shot and what was there, it would have been fine just to leave it as is.
I usually take a test image or two to see how I can improve the composition. But as you know, I broke the bark and this is all I have left. This purple stem angelica you see here is going to provide me with two beautiful shots, but you'll have to wait until later in the video because again, the light wasn't good for the color and contrast that I felt that it needed. So I moved on.
So I'm finding it a bit challenging today. Things are just not clicking and I'm having a hard time composing. Maybe I'm just overthinking everything and just not following my intuition, perhaps.
The higher in elevation I went, the less foliage was on the trees, and the more pines started to dominate the landscape. So I turned around and went back towards the trailhead. I knew the light had changed, and I was hoping that some new opportunities would present themselves.
I've just been roaming around back and forth on this path because the lights changed so many times. And this is a tree that I shot earlier. Looks much better now. Let's get ready for another shot. It really is amazing how much light changes your composition. Now, this shot I spent probably about 45 minutes this morning trying to find a way to make it work without the light. And I have to say, it just didn't work. So now that the light is just coming through a patch of clouds and it's hitting this tree and just making it glow. And this is the place to be. I mean, look at that. Look at it. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
Remember that purple stem angelica that I showed you earlier? Well, this is me, giddily explaining my shot and reveling in the light, unaware that I forgot to turn on the mic. Anyway, I went handheld with this one and captured two of my favorite images of the day. This fly living the good life just makes this image so much more alive and dynamic and interesting. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Continuing with the weirdness of shooting this day, my last image was an afterthought. Really, I wasn't planning on using it for the episode at all. I went back to that looped over tree you see here, the one with the mushrooms, and just experimented with perspective and layering. But I wish I had gotten some B-roll and had introduced it to you all because I actually really love this image. Let me know what you think in the comments below.
Thanks for joining me today. This episode is going to be a strange one, but I hope you enjoyed it. I enjoyed being out today and shooting. I look forward to the next one.